Good morning, everybody. Fingers crossed you can hear me okay. Lots of familiar faces in the crowd, which is always lovely to see. And I'm presenting live from Barham, so I'm actually quite local. So it's lovely to be working with colleges across Kent today. So I've got my screen shared there. Hopefully you can see it. I'm proposing to use Mentimeter for this presentation. Of course, that comes with a little bit of added risk, but hopefully I can make this session as interactive as possible for you. So you'll notice at the top of my presentation slide that you can hopefully see, I've got a Menti code. So if you can open up a separate tab on your browser or use your smart device if you'd prefer, and go to menti.com. And hopefully then you can see the code that you type in, which is 1551241. And there'll be a few interactive elements through this presentation that hopefully you better engage with. I've got that on the top of the first few slides, so hopefully you better see that as I get into this presentation. So first of all, my name's Andrew Dowell. I'm Head of Professional Status and Standards. I work at the Education and Training Foundation. I've popped an email address on the screen there if it's something you'd like to get in contact with me after. If you're particularly passionate about professional standards, it would be great to hear from you. Or if you've got some recommendations about how we can make this even better, I'd certainly love to hear from you. So there's the code there if anyone needs it. So it's that 1551241. Okay, so first of all, I just want to explain who the Education and Training Foundation are. You may well not be aware, and also introduce the Society for Education and Training. So we're a charity at heart, and the work that we do is designed to support teachers and trainers across the depth and breadth of the FE sector. And our really sort of purpose is to support teachers to thrive in their roles, but ultimately to support the learners that are the recipients of that learning. We work very closely with the Department for Education. A lot of the work we do is driven by the grants and contracts that we get with them, and that enables us to do some of the great work we've been doing with some of you already, particularly around T levels, apprenticeships, and other areas of development. And then within the within the Education and Training Foundation, we have a membership arm, which is the Society for Education and Training. Some of you may be members already, and we've got 22,000 members across the further education and school sector. So a few things I want to go through with you in the presentation today. So introducing the professional standards, just in case you're not aware of them, particularly if you are new to teaching. Also, the work we went through to refresh the new teaching standards. They were updated last year. Through the lens of a teacher or trainer, and then through the lens of a leader, and then just considering how you might apply these standards as an individual, and how the organization that you work for might support you against the standards, and also how the ETF and Society for Education can support you. So I'll spare you a history lesson. Some of you may well have worked in the sector for quite a long time. But if we can just rewind back to 2012, and the landscape in FE looked quite different. Around that time, the Lingfield Commission report came out, which changed the expectations around initial teacher education and the need to go on and work towards achieving QTLS. And around that time as well, ETF was created. So that was back in 2013. So we're nearly in our 10th year. And we took on the challenge in 2014 of developing a new set of professional standards for teachers. There were teaching standards in existence prior to that, but this was a new set of professional standards we wanted to build and give to the sector to provide aspiration in the absence of having to work towards a teaching qualification or gain QTLS. Fast forward a year there, Society for Education and Training was created off the back of the Institute for Learning's closure. And if we then fast forward to 2019, so a teaching standards survey was released to get a feel for how the sector was responding to the professional standards. And also around that time, the pandemic started, and we really wanted to look at the professional standards, ensure that they were still fit for purpose in 2021, 2022, and also looking at a post-pandemic landscape around teaching and learning and ensuring our standards really stood the test of time. We were largely very happy with the old standards, but some of the standards were starting to look quite tired. And also alongside that, we developed a brand new set of leadership standards that were also released in 2022. Ultimately, at the heart, we're looking to provide a set of aspirational statements that will improve standards for teaching and learning. And the ultimate aim here is to improve the experience and the outcome for the students and learners that we support. You may well fondly remember the old 2014 standards. Just put them up on screen there so you've got sight of the standards that we used to have. An example I often go back to is Professional Standard 15, which was promoting the use of technology. Now, in 2014, we probably were promoting the use of technology, and that was very adequate and appropriate standard for that time. But we felt in 2021, 2022, we'd moved a long way with technology, and we'd far beyond just promoting the use of digital tools in our classrooms. And I'll come back and highlight that in a bit more detail when we get into the review. The old standards were well received, they were well used. We got in the most part very positive thoughts about the standards. So we were quite happy that we kept the standards as pretty much as they were, but wanted to tinker and change some of the key wording and the key support we provided to the sector that wrapped around them. So when reviewing the professional standards, this is a piece of work that I led on myself, and I was really keen to not just look at the FE sector, not just look at the school sector for best practice for professional standards. So we looked across a multitude of different professional bodies in lots of different trades and industries, bringing some of that expertise back to a steering group, an ETF steering group, as well as doing literature reviews on best practice for professional standards. We then began to draft a set of professional standards and wanted to test that with some of our key partners. So we worked closely with the DFE, Association for Colleges, AELP, and the multitude of other acronyms that we've got on the screen there that we engaged to develop a set of standards that we wanted to really represent the depth and breadth of the sector. We then took those set of standards that we'd written and we then tested them with our practitioner advisory group. So we have a group of 40 individuals that work closely with the Society for Education and Training. And we really wanted to test some of our assumptions and make sure we had the right standards, working against the right agendas and the right direction of travel that the sector was going towards. Also being mindful of the new skills white paper that was released at a similar sort of time. And some of the big challenges that we were pushed towards and some of the drivers that we were working against. Sustainability was something that came up a lot in the conversations that we were having with individuals, and we were keen to get that into our set of standards. Also considering the individuals that we're working with, the learners that we're supporting, and making sure that we had challenging expectations for those individuals. Also considering mental health of learners and staff. We also had to take into account the impact of COVID and how that was affecting jobs and livelihoods. And also the shift in hybrid working. We wanted to make sure that the standards considered that through the standards that we were developing. And also the challenge that we all have around recruitment, particularly recruitment of teachers working across the FE sector, and how we can provide support from day one and guide them through that career journey. So this is your first task. So on the Menti that you've got open, I'm really interested to know how aware of the 2022 professional standards are you? And there's a sliding scale there where 0 is not aware at all, and I believe 5 is extremely aware. If you can just slide that on your device, or if you're on a separate tab, just to give me an idea of how well the group, the audience, know the professional standards. So just a reminder to engage with that. If you go to menti.com and the code is 1551241. Okay, well, that's good. So a majority of people, it would seem from the scoring, they're pretty well versed in the professional standards. We're going middle to kind of upper scores from most people, so that shows us a decent level of knowledge in the group, which is great. So in developing the new standards, we wanted to keep the same core structure. We could very easily have gone to 25 standards, 50 standards, 100 standards, that we could very easily have got to that. But I was very keen to ensure that we kept it as low as possible, so they were more meaningful, more impactful, and also they're more memorable. I think when we end up with too many standards, it just becomes unwieldy for us to work with. We had that split into 3 individual domains. So we retained professional values and attributes, we retained professional knowledge and understanding, and also we kept in professional skills. The work emerged 3 brand new standards that we'd never had before, 5 major revisions. So we did some significant change to some particular standards where we merged or significantly updated them. And also there were some standards that we wanted to move around. We didn't feel they sat in the right domain when they were previously created. And largely the standards have been well received. They're just a quote here from an individual who feels that the standards have moved in the correct direction. They were quite happy that the standards we pulled together reflect the changes to the sector that we've seen over the last decade, and also that we had gone out and spoke to lots of different learners and teachers to get the different expectations of those audiences. So here are the brand new set of professional standards. Um, I think graphically they look a bit easier to digest as well. We spent a bit of time making them more palatable where we could. And what I'll do now is I'll just zoom into a couple of standards to get under the skin of how we've done that. But before I do that, I'd be interested just to know how you would describe the professional standards for teachers in just one word. Is there a word that particularly springs out to you when you consider the professional standards? And again, if you didn't engage with a previous mentee, that code and link is available on the screen. Great. So we've got essential on there, which is great to see. Best practice, professionalism. That's brilliant to see. Um, I'm always conscious I don't leave these up too long because people get a bit silly with what they start posting up on there. I've used this at previous events, and you get all sorts of weird and wonderful words up on the screen. But thank you for your professionalism in the words that you're sharing. Okay, I'll move on. That's great. We've got some words here that definitely sort of chime with the work we were looking to do here. So as I say, we had some brand new standards when we developed the 2022 standards. We were quite keen to get in, as I say, the education and for sustainable development. That was quite a big driver for us that we wanted to get behind. I appreciate, though, speaking out in practice, that some people have been a bit nervous by this new standard, exactly how they're expected to apply it, what it means in practice. Um, and I guess it's twofold. One could be that you are considering sustainable development in the content that you're delivering to your learners, but also considering sustainable development in your approach to delivery. So the resources that you're printing, the resources that you're making available, and considering how green your curriculum is. So that's one example of a brand new standard we've decided to add in this year. Another new standard, we were quite keen to encourage colleagues to share, network, and engage with communities. So I'm aware that a lot of people on the call probably do that already, but we didn't have a specific standard that sort of championed that work. And then also around, we wanted to make sure that SEND was represented in the new set of standards. It didn't really come out strong enough in the previous standards, and there was a big call from a lot of audiences to make sure that special educational needs and disabilities really came out strong in the new set of standards. So it's now got its own standalone one. Another fairly big change was around positive learner behaviour. So it used to be in knowledge and understanding, but we felt that behaviour management and positive learner behaviour more sat as a skill for the teacher. So we were keen to move that into a new domain to reflect that work, as well as some other major revisions, like I discussed earlier. What used to be professional standard 15, promoting the use of technology, is now professional standard 16. And we thought it was really important that you're able to select and use appropriate digital technologies and also safely use them with your learners. So it used to be the case would be awash with lots of different tools, and it was just we were promoting the use of Kahoot, for example. Whereas now we're going through and saying, is it Quizzy? Is it Quizlet? Is it the multitude of other tools? But what's the right one for my classroom and my learners, and also the activity that you're running? And we thought that was a really important change to add into the new set of standards. Another one of the key drivers that I've not mentioned yet was that we wanted the standards to reflect the multitude of different hats that you wear as a teacher. So we wanted to make sure they were more holistic. So recognizing that you provide information, advice, and guidance, that you provide welfare and support, as well as the teaching role that you hold, and all of that kind of comes together in your role. And I feel this was the ETF's best kept secret. So this has been around for a little while. So we've always had standards which were laddered, if you like, through career stages. But we really wanted to bring these to the fore because we thought these would be really beneficial for teachers as they progress through that career journey. So we've coined these as I do, I share, and I influence, thinking about the type of work that individual might be doing. So we've split it into early career teacher, experienced teacher, and advanced teacher. And then those teachers have got their own version of the professional standards, where we've moved the needle from early career to advanced around the expectation of the individual. In doing this, we have to be very conscious of the new occupational standards. So there are now new occupational standards linked to the learning skills teacher apprenticeship. So we very much see the professional standards as a post-qualification set of standards. So the early career teacher, that may be the first 1 or 2 years of their career, we see that being applicable. And then right through to advanced teachers who will be in sort of a more experienced part of their journey. And again, more kind of feedback from the sector about how people are really positive around the professional standards. Helen is one of our ATS holders. She holds advanced teacher status, and the program that she would have been through would be completely underpinned by the advanced teacher professional standards that you were seeing on the previous slide. And as I said, we've also worked to develop a new set of leadership standards. So this is off the back of some work with the Department for Education. These were released in September last year. And again, they were looking at the roles that you might move through in your progression journey as a leader. And there's individual standards set for those different career stages. So Those standards have been written at the level of an aspiring leader, a middle leader, a senior leader, and CEO and principal. The wordsmithing took a little while because these terms we tried to make as generic as possible. We're aware that there's lots of different role titles across different organizations, but we felt that someone that was aspiring to lead, someone in a middle leader role, senior leader role, and then CEO slash principal were fairly universal. And then a lot of people could kind of resonate with those different levels. And this is a poster that's available on our website that shows those career stages through aspiring, middle, senior, and CEO. We tried to keep it as similar as we could to the teaching standards so they would resonate with both audiences, and also help individuals moving from teaching roles into leading roles kind of ease that transition, particularly from a standards perspective. So we've also kept the same domains of practice as well around values and attributes, knowledge and understanding, and skills. And as I say, this poster is available on the website if you want to look a bit closer about those individual standards that are available. I'm not sure what TV show inspired me to make this diagram, but I wanted a clear way to try and show how someone might move through their career. I'm really keen to work with the sector to develop a career framework, and this may well be the start of that kind of journey. So occupational standards will now underpin the teaching apprenticeship. They'll likely also underpin the new diploma in teaching for FE and skills that's released in 2024 that will replace the old debt. And then as you move into that sort of teaching role, you'll go through early career teacher, experienced teacher. At that point, you might move from your teaching role into management. You might take on some aspiring leadership, or you might be ready to move into middle leadership. So we want to show the kind of different transitions that you might take to move through your career journey. I'm quite aware that's not the polished and finished article because there's still ways that could be improved, but I think it gives you a relatively clear way of how the standards might inform your career journey. Okay, so I just want to hand over to you for a minute, just to think about. I've talked about the professional standards, what they're there for, what they're designed to do. Talked about some of the significant updates for teachers, and also the emergence of leadership standards. But I'd like just to take a moment to think about how you might use the professional standards individually to inform your professional development. So again, you can use the Menti on screen, or take a pen and make some notes down if you'd rather write something more private. But just think about how you might use those professional standards to inform your development plans, maybe over the next year. And again, if you need the code, it's on the screen, and also Louise has posted that in the chat. So to help thinking, I'll share some examples of how I've seen it used. So we've seen some people use it before kind of PDRs or appraisals, that they'll do that internal kind of reflection before they go to that sort of event, where they will kind of sit down and reflect against the professional standards, maybe use the self-assessment tool to help them do that. I'm aware that some organizations also use them as part of their observation process. So whether that's the thing that the teacher does post observation to reflect on how that lesson went, or some organizations who are moving away from graded observations but still want some element of criteria, if you like, are using the professional standards as a way of considering that for development. You've also got lots of organizations now that are introducing yearly or at least termly self-assessments against the standards, and then using that to inform their professional development plans they're writing. So yeah, again, some great examples about how people might use the standards over the coming weeks and months. So I very much see the professional standards sitting in kind of that cycle of development. So phase one being assessment of current practice as a way of reflecting, then considering that development plan that you may well be writing around what's next in your development journey, undertaking those development activities and journeys towards the end of the academic year, then considering your critical reflection and action planning, and then kind of beginning that cycle again. And along that, you may well have mentoring sessions already instilled into your organization's setup to kind of challenge some of your assumptions and thinking. So as I mentioned, we have a professional standards self-assessment tool, which is free to use. It's available via the ETF website, and the web link, the direct web links in the top left-hand corner there. It takes about 10 minutes to complete if you rush through. But I think the real benefit in the tool is if you spend a little bit more time to really consider where you are on your professional journey. I put a bit further down the slide there. It's really important that the scores that you apply and the text that you write in your reflective comments, that you're as honest and maybe as vulnerable as you can be on your journey. And that really will aid that reflection and professional development considerations. As part of that tool as well, you're asked to self-assess on a Likert scale. That score is from 0 to 4, and it's based on your consistency, your considered consistency against that standard. It's completely natural to have a spiky profile. There'll be some standards that you look at where you're really, really confident, really consistent against that particular standard. There'll be others that naturally you feel you might want to do some work on. So slightly zoomed in kind of view there of that scoring. So you'll just move that bar along to score from 0 to 4. Nice big space there to add some reflective comments. Unfortunately, I see a lot of teachers just put a full stop in the box because it's a mandatory field. But the more time you can spend writing in your reflective comments, I think that is really beneficial for you. And as I've put there, you might want to go and triangulate that, your writing and your scoring, with colleagues, maybe with your learners, maybe with managers, just to kind of test some of your assumptions and thinking about where you are on your journey. And again, all that reflection will really help you as you move forward. When you've completed the self-assessment, you get a PDF printout that you can take away, save for sort of latter consideration, and it gives you some lovely kind of coaching wheel type graphs to really highlight the areas for development and the areas for strength. So just to bring that to life, in case you've not used that tool, I've built that into a Menti here. So if you can read this particular professional standard, which is critically review and apply your knowledge of educational research, pedagogy and assessment to inform your practice, and then score where you see yourself against that particular standard. Now, there's a particular reason why I chose this standard, and that's because across the country, for 4,100 teachers have now reflected against the professional standards since we released the tool. And this is the one that nationally people score lowest. So this is a standard that people nationally feel they are least consistent with. So it's really interesting to a litmus test here to see kind of how you perceive kind of across Kent, how you see you are against that particular standard. And we're looking largely confident with education pedagogy, which is great. Good. So no zeros, no ones, and a few 2, 3s, and 4s. Brilliant. But then I'd like you to reflect upon, like very much like the assessment tool, why did you give that particular score? So is there a reason why you scored yourself 2, 3, 4? What's kind of driving that scoring? And you can add a short statement or an individual word that sort of summarizes why you've given that score. Yes, I think the red box and the yellow box, the first two, and also the black box there is probably quite reflective of what the national picture is saying. Is I'd love to engage in more research. I'd love to have my work underpinned more research. It's just where do I find the time to do that? And I think that's coming through quite strong in some of the reflective comments that I'm reading. Yeah, I think yellow there probably is a good summary. Okay. So leaders have got the exact same tool. They have a self-assessment tool for leadership. It's slightly different, so it's based on confidence, and it's a score of 0 to 6. You can access that via the PDP platform, and I've put the link at the bottom there. So that's the professional development platform. Very much like teachers, you're going to have a spiky profile as a leader, whether you're an aspiring leader or whether you're a principal. There will be different sort of peaks and troughs in the responses that you provide. And the tool will also give feedback to you on particular strategies on how you might look to move forward in your professional development journey as a leader. Again, free tool to access. You can store your results and then you can download them as a PDF to take away to inform development practice. And then what we've done for leaders is we've then mapped those professional standards to the leadership program that we offer. So we have an aspiring leader program, a middle leader program, senior and CEO and principal program. And those are all now fully underpinned by those professional standards. And I'm aware of various different colleges across the county have engaged, particularly with the middle leaders program, which has been very well received. So relatively hot off the press. I'm aware some people on the call may have some of these in their hands already. So a little while ago, I wanted to make a resource that would support people to discuss the professional standards with their colleagues. Once upon a time, we used to print off the standards posters, highlight them with pens and annotate them and such like. We might cut out the individual statements, but I wanted a really polished set of cards that would enable you to have coaching and professional conversations with colleagues. So these cards are now available through our pilot. You can phone our customer service team and purchase them over the phone. Um, the red pack are £20, and the yellow pack are £35, I believe. And if you're a set member or a corporate partner, you can get a discounted price on those. But feedback so far has been really positive. They're well received. There's some great use cases that we're starting to get for the standards, but ultimately I wanted to make the standards available in your hands, uh, again, to aid those sort of conversations with colleagues. So also, when you complete a professional standards self-assessment, there is an optional field for you to put the name of your organization. And if you put the name of your organization, I'm able to provide a anonymous top level summary for the organization, which will show organization wide where the strengths and areas for development lie against the professional standards. If the organization is a corporate partner, they can also request the Excel data that sits behind that, which can then be used then to inform professional development conversations. But it's a tool that I'm aware that some colleges in the region have used and hopefully utilised to consider plans for staff development. And this report again is freely available to any organisation that requests it, particularly at that free kind of anonymous topic level. So please reach out if you think that would be beneficial for colleagues in your organisation. And just a few more ways we can support your understanding. So there's now a wealth of literature available on the website to help your understanding of the professional standards. We've got posters, flyers, we've got graphics, we've got highlighted now the career stage resources and the self-assessment tool that again is proving really, really popular. To help you get under the skin of what we mean by the professional standards, because there's only so much we could squeeze into one little sentence, we now have a professional standards guide that you can download from the website. And that gives you bullet points underneath each individual standard to really explain what we mean by that very short sentence. An example on the screen there I've put for education for sustainable development. And then also to further bring that to life, we have a set of what I believe are called audiograms. So these are individuals talking about the professional standards. So we've got most of the professional standards now on our YouTube channel, and we've got various different experts from various different sectors talking passionately about how they understand the professional standard, what it means, and how they might apply it. Again, to try and bring that to life to aid your understanding. And then finally, one of the other new tools we've released is a mapping tool that maps the professional standards to our CPD offer. So when you complete your self-assessment tool and say, I've scored low on a particular couple of standards, you can then link to the mapping page to see then what CPD and resources are available to help you gain better understanding against that standard, or sign up for a course or program that will develop that knowledge further. Again, trying to help you with that full cycle wheel of professional development. But I'm interested to know, is there more we can be doing? So if you're passionate, if you're keen about on using the professional standards, what else could we do to help you use them, help you understand them, and make the most of a resource that's available for you? So I've already showed you we've got the CPD mapping tool, we've got the self-assessment tool, we've got the playing cards, we've got posters, flyers, graphics. But if you think there's anything else, I'd love to hear your ideas. Yeah, great, love that. Slightly linked to that, have been going out to some various colleges across the country and running sessions on the professional standards, sort of workshops on how best to utilize them. Podcasts for the car sounds great. Apparently podcasts are cool again, so maybe that's something we will look to do to support knowledge and understanding. Okay, I'm conscious of time. I will move on. Teach me, yeah, sounds great. And no one's copyrighted any of those ideas, so that's great to see. I can use all of those. Um, so finally, there's another option here to support you is if you're not a member of the Society for Education and Training, we do have special interest digests and special interest groups where we pull out different themes of the professional standards, and then we enable those groups to get together to talk about how they might use them, understand them, develop knowledge in that space. And those special interest groups are unique and exclusive to set members. Okay, so we'll move to Q&A. My email address is available on the screen there. So professionalstandards@etfoundation.co.uk if you've got any specific questions. Alternatively, you can you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter if you've got any particular questions that you'd like to ask me personally. But that is our main mailbox for all professional standards queries. Thank you, David. Very kind. If you've got any questions, there is a Q&A function. If there's any particular things you'd like to ask. Alternatively, there is the chat bar if you'd like to ask a question through that space. Okay, lots of lovely thank yous in the chat. Thank you very much. No questions as of yet. That hopefully means that the presentation was really informative. Thank you, Seth. Yeah, no Q&As. That's a good thing, I think. Okay, I will stop sharing. Okay, well it's 10 to, so thank you so much for joining me for the last 45 minutes. It's been great to speak with you all. You've got my email address if you want to reach out, or alternatively reach out through socials. But have a great rest of your day, and hopefully speak to you all soon.
Hello, everybody. Just wanted to pop on quickly. As Andrew has finished early, we're just going to do some networking in the room, and then we will begin with Teresa Frith promptly at 12. So I shall see you all again shortly.